Hello folks, well today's a bit of a Sekonda day, but not what you think. Be back in a tick. So, here's an example of what we know of today as a Sekonda. That there is a Sekonda quartz diver submariner homage. This is a 1970s Sekonda, which I repaired, missing its second hand of course, but I've never found it either. I don't know where that's gone. And this is the one that I wanted to get working. As you can see, she's working beautifully. Now this is a Sekonda Type 39 apparently. It's got date lens. It's a Slava movement, twin mainsprung movement inside, but it's one of those ones, if you look on the back, this case back fits to the movement, and then you push it into the case, which is like a shell. Now what I did was, I'm not going to take the back off because it's such a fiddly to get it back on again. The balance was really lively, like slightest movement, and it oscillated. But nothing seemed to be working, so I got me little oiler, and after getting like some of this Rodico, in fact this is the Rodico I used. A second, that's my getting gunk out Rodico. And what I did was I got me Rodico and I put it in there, and I got into the jewels, and I took out loads and loads and loads of dried gunk. And I got my oiler, put a little blob of oil on the little clean like cup thing, right? And I just gently oiled all the jewels I could see. I gave the winder pinions and wheels a thing, and I took the top capstone out, and I gave that a bit of a dab of oil, and it started more and more like, it became more energetic. And let's just take off my out back in it. So I thought to myself, this really wants to run. As you can see, it's an old watch. I mean, look at the size of it, like in comparison. Right, and the thing is, it has run beautifully, since I put it on, and I thought I'd just leave it on for an hour because I thought the heat of my wrist and that would help it as well, the constant movement, and yes it did, but now we go to this one here on the Tag Heuer bracelet. This one, it runs fast for a while, it runs slow for a while, it stops. It is not a happy bunny. Now I've done the same to that when I had the back off, I gave the I Rodicoed the visible jewels, I gave it a drop of oil and stuff like that, and it just isn't happy. It really is not a happy watch. This one is the new old stock gold one. This had never been worn, and it's such a shame because it could really it should, like that ruler, that brand new ruler I found, it should work beautifully, but it doesn't, unfortunately. But I think it looks just right on that, doesn't it? It's a real shame. But there's a nose with this one as well. It's day, right? And there's no pusher. And there's no, there's no first click position on the winder or anything. If you want to change the date, you have got to do it manually, and that is quite an annoying thing to think about if you think, but that is very deep gold. I thought this was gold, but it wasn't. It was actually it's not chrome because there's no wear on it. I assume that it's just very highly polished stainless steel. This one is of course gold. but it's great. I've got another Sekonda winder which I'm going to have out in a bit, probably today, and I want to like have a look at that one as well. It's like the tank type, like the square. It's like this, but it's got a much bigger case, much bigger case. So I mean, back in the day, like, you know, it's a real shame about all this muck that keeps getting on it from places. I don't know where it's coming from. Like, you know, it's like, I don't know. This one is a bugger to keep clean. Like, you know, this is one of two Tag Heuer 1970s racing bracelets. You know, absolutely beautiful. I mean, this is like, you know, having £1 million on your arm. Like, you know, I mean, people do look at your watch and you've got it. I mean, it's very ostentatious. But then, so that, and I've put that on that thick hide strap, and it's found its home finally. That's where it needs to be. Like, you know, I am very pleased with that. I do apologise for that. Stupid bloody tripods. I don't know. I regard this as the old lady. That's a very early Sekonda. Like, that was made from like Slavas and Poljots and stuff like that, and sold in the UK. And it seems common with the Slava movement, especially. That what happens is, here we go. I don't know. That looks just smart, doesn't it? Is that, you know, the second hands seem to be a problem with these Slavas. Like, you know, see, this one here is a Poljot, right, and it doesn't have the same issues. So you see hardly any Poljots missing their second hand, but Slavas you often see. I mean, I have bought, I've probably bought about 30 or 40 Slavas in the last year, like most of them scrap, and they've all been missing their second hands. So, you know, and unfortunately, because these are Japanese movements, like, you know, I would have harvested, you know, second hands from them. But I put it onto the NATO bracelet because it originally was on this. Right, but because it was slightly too small on the lugs, like, it just looked a bit Oxfam, if you know what I mean. And of course, there's my Alba Seiko, and I've been wearing this as well, like, recently. My soft tech jump hour, and you know, it's nice. The only thing I don't like about it is it's got a really rattly bracelet. When you're wearing it, it's quite firm on your wrist. It's like tinkle, crackle, crack, bang, wallet, or, you know. I thought I would showcase this because I think this is a crowning glory. I've left it on its original Sekonda strap. This is as original as it was when it came out at the shop. And I think that's a lovely, I don't know what's that, alligator skin, snake skin, I don't know what sort of skin that is. Look at that, it's just absolutely, you know, delightful and a welcome addition to my collection. And I paid silly money for this, and all it needed was a bit of love with the oiler, and, you know, it's the little, like, inbuilt lens for the date, like, you know, and that's what identifies it as the Slava one, because there is a Slava version of this in gold and in the polished steel that has exactly the same. It's exactly the same, and that's all Sekonda did, was they went to, like, Slava, or first watch factory, second watch factory in Moscow and stuff like that, and they said, look, we want to sell some watches of yours over in England. Will you brand these under a group branding called Sekonda? Like, because obviously people didn't want to buy, you know, like, you know, watches that were like associated with the Soviet Empire, and this is a very much a Soviet watch, and it worked because these watches were actually really, for the price point and everything else, they were really good value, and people flock to them. I will tell you when we get to the up bit, like, I'll tell you the whole reason why I started with Sekondas, you know, and I have got like what is possibly the modern grail Sekonda coming in, which I managed to find one and win the auction for, right? And that is a Dr. Martens special edition Sekonda with a 1970s full rally racing solid steel strap. It's like, you know, like the very thick plates of steel that go around. That's what he, like, Steve McQueen made it kind of like the fun thing to wear. Oh, there you go. Like, yeah, there's a good first look, like. And I mean, wow, that is just such a lovely old piece. It's a bit small, I mean, you know, but I've worn it and it's not bad. It's just what Sekonda was good for, like, you know, presenting very, very good quality watches at a cheap price point. You know, I mean, these would be selling at a quarter the prices of a Seiko, and they would be, you know, some of them were just as good. This one here, I will add, has got it's got twin mainsprings. It doesn't mean you get, like, you know, twice the power. What it is like basically the power is taken from each mainspring, one at, like, you know, every other, like, you know, so it keeps driving it with the idea that two mainsprings is less likely to break than one mainspring, like, because they're never going to be under so much tension, like, and it's unique to Slavas, but it can be problematical if you do get a mainspring break. Unfortunately, Slavas do have problems with cannon pinions. They have problems with the keyless works, and in my scrap tub of Slavas, like, every single one of them has this problem where, like, you know, the keyless works, it's jammed on time setting, it won't wind. Perfectly good movements, but they just won't wind. And I have got a Sekonda Slava automatic somewhere which I need to find, but I seem to be missing a couple of good pieces, and I'm just wondering where I've put them. Anyway, we'll talk a bit more when we get to the up view. I think I'll leave you with that lovely view. Right? See you in a bit. So there you have it. Right. Upside down, of course, but, like, you know, I think that's lovely, and for the price I paid for it was like a ridiculous price, like, you know, like a few pounds. What do you get? Like, you know, I'm not sure if this is a 1960 very early Sekonda, or it's just so lovely. I mean, you know, there's no way around it. But I can't wait to see that Dr. Martens Sekonda coming, you know, and me being an old bother boy sort of thing, like, you know, I mean, anything with Dr. Martens on it is like, you know, nice. But these, like, Dr. Martens Sekondas are so rare. They're very, very limited editions, like, you know, and this one, like, the actual bracelet is made of, like, long strips of steel. There's like a flexible bit there which you can adjust, and it's just like a big with like circles, like very 1970s, like, you know, Steve McQueen. I remember the day Steve McQueen died, right, you know. One of our neighbour's daughters came running in, screaming and crying her eyes, "Because Steve McQueen's dead!" And I thought, like, it said the Queen was dead. And I thought, oh, well, you know, and I said, "Oh dear, sorry to hear that." And he goes, "Yeah, he's such a great actor, and I loved him, like, you know." And I'm like, you know, hold up, he's an actor. And then, like, you know, I managed to get it out there, like, you know, and I was like, oh right, okay, sorry to hear that. I was more sad at her, like him, like, you know, and then obviously her, if her had gone, like, you know, nowadays I'll be getting, like, you know, have oyster in a pint, like, you know. I've discovered that with my Poljot 3050 quartz, which is all working perfectly well except for that one thing. Right, it's like on the end of the on the end of the actual shaft that this one gear wheel that drives everything sits on. was two very, very fine, and I mean we are talking about quarter the width, so fine, of like pivots, and they both snapped off. I managed to get it under the microscope last night. I had a really good, I could see actually where it's torn off like one end, and then I looked through the jewel on the bridge, and you could actually see the pivot still stuck in there. Like, you know, that is probably, you know, the end of the watch. Like, unless I can get another one, which is unlikely because they were rare anyway. So I'm probably going to have a look to see if I can actually fit a mechanical movement like into there, and you know, because like that, I mean they're all much of the muchness, like, you know, and then I can break the movement down for spares, because there's a lively demand for these spares. I mean, you know, people are paying nearly watch prices just for one small working part. I mean, I've been thinking about how I can make this whole watch thing into a hustle, into like a side hustle or something like that, you know. I mean, I've seemed to have the gift. People have said you're really good at picking up the bargain, sort of thing. Yeah, no, but I am. I was good at doing that with cars, and, you know, buying things like computer games, and, you know, I mean, there are ways, you know, it used to be, you know, the South London way. Like, you know, you always did a little bit of side dealing, wheeling and dealing on the side. I mean, unless you was posh and trying to be a ponce like my father, you know, but, you know, you made a bit of like, brewed your own beer, you sold it, like, you know. I mean, there were people that were growing tobacco in their gardens, in their greenhouses, like, you know. And I mean, there's no law against that in this country. People don't realise you can grow your own tobacco. There's nothing legally wrong about it, and you can smoke it. Nothing wrong about that. But as soon as you try and sell it, unless you pay your revenue up front, which was quite a lot, but you can give it away. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like the people who went across to Europe to get all the, like, you know, the cheap fags and everything, like, you know, which is going to be stopping, and people don't realise that the cheap booze and fags thing is ending, and like, what's going to happen is like when you go across to like Calais, like all those businesses are going to be put out, because, you know, like the VAT exemption and taxing exemption's gone. You will then pay the normal price that the French people pay and the Dutch people pay and everybody else. There will be no, like, you know, cheap tobacco anymore, and that's what you voted for, like, you know. So I mean, I'm sorry about the other night. I was very, very angry at, yet again, my political party, like, you know, just wiping their asses on, like, you know, what we want them to do. You know, I get a bit het up when people are doing that. I am sick to death of these cretins in power, you know, like just absolutely sticking their middle finger up at us, like, at every turn, like, you know, and just doing what they want because they can do what they want, and we trust them with, you know, with that power, and then they just kick our teeth in. And I'm sorry, but I'm getting very, very tired. I was fed up with it with Thatcher, you know. I mean, Thatcher, like, basically waged war on the youth, and if you was a young person, you know, you got the feel of the copper's boot more often than you would ever think, like, you know, and you didn't have to do anything wrong, you know. It was their word against yours, and it still is their word against yours. And what's happening in America is happening here now, and I mean, all these people are going on about, like, you know, like, immigration and stuff like that. The worst party for immigration has always been the Tories, because they can get these people working in the gangs and, like, on the cheap and out under so they don't pay tax, they don't pay them a decent wage. And all the gang masters that you hear about, like, you know, that they capture, they're all part of the Tory thing. They're nothing to do with the other parties or other cliques of, like, society. They are all linked to Tories, because it's the Tory businessmen that are, like, profiting the most. You know, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to make this a political thing. Like, yeah, you know, I've had a, you know, I've had a better day yesterday. Like, you know, I mean, some, like, you know, some troubling news on the horizon. So But I've got my watches, I've got my cats, I've got my Reliant, I've got my daughters, I've got my granddaughter, somewhere out there, and my grandsons, I've got my e-cig, it's just, just getting through the pain of the day, through the pain of the night, and then back through to the pain of the day again, And I mean, America's now had a second wave of coronavirus. And I mean 2.5 million new cases or something, right? And they're talking about like Leicester's now facing lockdown, because people just couldn't wait. And I know it was hard, but yeah, people just couldn't wait. And now we've got the second wave coming, and this time around, that what's going around is much nastier because it's been allowed to mutate and evolve and mutate, evolve and stuff like that. Some of them have just petered out, burned out. But what's evolved into is like a super strong version. It's what they're finding in some of these countries, and this is all because people couldn't wait. And you think they've had massive parties on Clapham Common that they've closed down, and some of the people have tested positive. And so that means virtually everybody there has probably got it, and without them knowing about it, they've probably caused, that's probably second wave zero for London. In Scotland, right? Now this shows you about profit over safety. Yeah, if you go to Scotland, like I say to Nicola Sturgeon, where did COVID start in Scotland? And she'll turn around and said Nike, right? What it was Nike was having a presentation at some sort of fair or trade deal or something or other like that, right? Now these people that turned up from Nike, and this crew, they knew they were unwell, and they stood there and met thousands and thousands of people coughing and spluttering and wiping their hands on them and stuff like that, and this lends credence to this deliberate super spreaders. These people should not have been there. They should not have been anywhere near there. They knew COVID was going on as well. And yet, they just stood there because profit trumped safety. And that's how Scotland got its first cases of COVID. Because the people from that thing, they went to the pub, they went to the bars, they went to the cafes, fast food, hotels, and it just bloomed all around, and all because these people from Nike came in from they do believe they came in from America via China. They had to pick somebody up in China, or they came from China or something, They were absolutely loaded with COVID, all of them, and they just sat there. I mean, you think about the aircraft that they were sitting on, the trains and the taxis from the station and the airports and stuff, at every stage they were infecting people, and I think Nike should be should be prosecuted, and for anybody. I mean, people died from those people, and I think they should be. I mean, I've never liked the brand, so you won't catch me wearing Nike shit anyway, but Right, I will leave that with you. One last final ostentation view of the old beastie. Which has stopped. That's unusual. It's worked so well. That was when I was winding it up. This is something you get with old watches. Sometimes when you wind them up, it stops them. It's worked so beautifully, and then I take it off, and it doesn't like being off my wrist. I think it's the heat. Two. What's showing that? What's that? That was the first time it stopped. She's working again. There you go. I don't know if you can see the second hand sweeping round. Oh, it doesn't like being the other way round. That's interesting. Anyway, time to go. I won't belabour the whole thing. I will catch you in the next one.